Neil leading up to.
Yeah. So I don't know if it would, really with Neil here, it would have been nice to be like, hey, didn't that come? Didn't we have a lot of public support for that? And just
Yeah.
but I don't know.
We can talk about it, but I don't think I put it on the agenda.
All right, whatever.
Because technically it's not ours anymore. It's moved on to.
Yeah, but now they're just kind of like armchair quarterbacking, like, oh, do we even need trails? It's like, well, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from a suggestion.
Big eye roll. All right.
Do you want to start?
Yep.
Okay.
You got everybody ready? All right.
All right, I'll let you know.
All right. Welcome to the Township of Sparta Environmental Commission meeting of Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. The meeting is called to order at 7:01. We are live in the council chambers at the municipal building and also live streaming at www.youtube.com/@Sparta TWP streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 10th, 2025 by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of this notice. If you would please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Emily, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Margie Murphy. Chair Kimberly Knoll.
Here.
Vice Chair Neil Sauerwein. Christine Dunbar. Ted Gall.
Here.
Christine Rogers.
Here.
Barbara Kazalka. Here. Robert Otto.
Here.
Nicholas DePrado. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a number of minutes that we are catching up on, as well as last meeting's minutes of September 25th, 2025. And I think some folks have already reviewed and sent any changes ahead to Emily already. Do we want to take it in sections or just approve all at once? All right, let's do September 25th, 2025 first. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th, 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Barbara. Hi. All right. Do I have all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
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 All right. Awesome. September 25th, 2025 minutes are approved. All right. How do we want to handle the 24 and 23? You want to do it all at once? Did everybody have a chance to look at them? Yeah?
We can do it like year by year, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to make the motion, Barbara?
I make the motion to approve all remaining minutes for the 2024, 2025, 2023.
Thank you so much. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. The previous minutes are now approved also from July 13th, 2023 through January 11th, 2024. Thank you, everybody. I know that was a lot of review this past week. Trying to catch up on those. All right, now we are moving on to the application that we have tonight. It is 738 Messer LLC. It's over on Demorest Road. It looks like a very minor application, so if you want to all join me down there, we can take a look at it. Want to come and see? Come and see.
We're here, we might as well, thank
Yeah.
you.
You can even come inside if you want. It's kind of,
Special now.
okay, you can see, okay?
I can't see it. His
Yeah.
vision's better than mine.
Yeah.
But you guys know what you're looking at, so you
So
can.
yeah, we usually look at the architectural plans. We try to stay in our lane, right? We're not here to comment on the signs. That's part of the zoning board and the planning board's role. So we try to stick to the things that are, things that we can comment on. Normally, we look at the landscapes. We look at the impervious coverage, like it needs to be below a certain amount. We look at the location. Is there any critical, things about the location? Historic waterways, C1 waterways, which are like critical waterways. Things that might be concerning, like if this was on Lake Mohawk, right, and they wanted to put some gas tanks in,
Yeah.
those kind of things, yeah. We also do look at lighting, so that is another thing that we definitely want to pay attention to. And lighting, believe it or not, has huge environmental impacts, both to people and wildlife and migrating birds and all those
I
things.
read some stuff. You guys said some interesting things
Yeah.
about nighttime lights. I didn't know this was such a
Yeah.
learning as we go.
Yes, and we just ended the whole migration, like millions of birds migrating north to south, so it's important to keep your lights off at night. And then we also, with LEDs, they've started to be extremely bright. So it's harmful for humans trying to drive, and it's also harmful for the animals. So yeah, so that's what we look at. This one is really all they're doing is putting in a concrete pad.
It's a small.
Yeah,
Oh, this whole drawing is for that.
yeah,
It's
Oh.
a site plan.
yep, it's a
Gotcha.
site
But what
plan.
is-
So,
full disclosure, I've seen.
yeah, you
No.
saw it already. So do you want to
What,
share some more of
is
the
this for
details?
a specific business that is located there?
Yep.
That's it, okay.
Yeah. it's
Not a
business.
helicopter pad.
Nope, not a helicopter
Not
pad.
with
So I had asked what the purpose of the pad was. It's just approving a pad,
Yeah,
maybe there's no issue.
You normally assess water quality impacts, Jason?
oh, yeah,
Tributaries, okay, that's
Yeah.
your province's one. Good.
yeah. Like if it's on top of a C1 stream of some kind, I don't see any C1, I don't see any streams at all in this area, but. So, and what are they putting on top of it, did they say?
Well, I'm curious, what's in the application.
I think that's it.
So,
A carbonated beverage thing?
so
No.
that's my problem with it. It's a minor application, so, is it just came in as a.
It's
concrete
just that,
pad.
yeah,
And I said, but what is the
What are they-
purpose of this? And so
exactly.
then it came up as, well, we want to put this on this.
Mhm.
So could you describe what this is? What does it need? It needs electrical, it needs gas. It needs,
mhm,
like I said, typically, we have questions about shielding
mhm,
equipment from view. Is there any consideration for that? There
Mhm.
wasn't, because again, it's just presented as a pad.
yeah.
So
Can I take a look at that?
Oh, yeah, here,
it may not be something too problematic, but
yep,
it just would be good. It's always good to, get the full picture on
absolutely.
initial application. So but it's an established CO2 facility. So this is in keeping with what they do in this economic development zone. And but when we had
So is this what's going on there then, this gas multiplexer vaporizer? Or is that what,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I think, yeah,
so it's kind of a CO2, but it's
yeah,
So do
Checking
they
with
produce
some kind of
CO2 for-
sensor.
They produce CO2 for bottling?
I don't know. I don't want to say.
Yeah.
You go through
That's
it, make your. But that was kind of the issue is if you have volunteers that are tasked with going through this and approving it or denying it, do they have enough information as lay people to say this seems okay and not a concern for the general welfare of the community? Or would we feel more comfortable having the full planning board say, take a look at this?
Yeah, so that's
And
what it is. It
when-
appears that the proposed, I'm sorry to interrupt,
ahead.
Rob. It appears that a proposed carbon dioxide analyzer unit will be housed in a container that's 79 inches by 96.5 inches long. 94.5 inches high. So how high is that?
So there's,
8 foot tall.
About 8 feet.
so there's requirements to block in the view. So this is set far enough back that it's probably not a concern, but it just, again, there's this full site plan. It would be good to have a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
from the get-go.
There's no traffic stuff. Here, I don't know.
I'm looking like, where's the road versus where's this is behind, yeah,
It's
Dennis
over
is over
there.
there on the
Yeah, I
side.
don't know if you want to see that
Railroad's
piece.
here.
I say, engineer friend, likes it.
Yeah.
Looks like fun.
That's nothing.
Seems pretty benign to me.
Anytime
Depends what your version of fun is.
gas, they're
No,
concerned
they're obviously
about.
trying to step up the game on quality of the CO2. Removed from the air.
My only concern was, would it be near anything? And it doesn't appear to be.
No, I was trying to figure out where it is, because Sparta Church, here's Hauser Corners, here's 15, here's Houses Corners. So the
Is this
Sparta
across-
Church is here, I
Mhm.
think?
No, do you know,
It's-
hold on.
That's the site.
Yeah, the site's all the way over here. It's farther in from 15.
Adjacent to railroad.
Yeah.
back from down.
Fascinating.
We just ask questions, make observations, and we pass them on.
That's why I said your engineering brain would like all this.
We do have open positions on the board, so.
Ready for fishing.
All right, so I don't know that we have anything within our purview to comment on. Does anybody have anything that they think they want to? Other than, it would be good to know, confirm that this is what they're putting on it. Seems like that's what they're saying.
In there. For prefabricated accessory.
Okay. Yeah, that is what they're gonna put on.
But it's in line with their pre-existing use there. Questions, it's CO2, so it's not.
Right, oh, here's another version of that something. Yeah, it's 2 copies of the same thing. Okay. All right, so folks, do we have any comments, think? All right.
Produces gases for the medical, food, and service. Across all over the country.
So food grade gases.
For medical.
All right. All right, yeah. Next stuff. Sure. All right, they're trying to identify the flood hazard area. The design elevations, okay, are based on method 5.
This is send, receive.
Flood hazard area.
Roxanne's the clerk then. Roxanne.
Upper left says Cape Chamber. Okay, just check.
Are they building something? Let's see. Yeah, they want flood hazard area verification plan. Probably because they're preparing to build something.
So if they're asking for that, can we ask for an
I-
environmental impact statement?
Yes, that's what I was
And-
gonna say,
And what was
and
that
or,
parcel search? Barbara, that you had that like
Yeah.
environmental parcel?
yeah, we can do that parcel
Mhm.
search too, so, using that block and lot. Yeah, it's completely vacant now.
It's gonna be
And it said even in the write-up that it had several streams.
Yeah, exactly, I wanna know what the streams are. Wait, is this it? This is the stream report.
But I don't know, is this something that we can comment on, or this is just a notification?
Oh, no, we can comment on it.
Okay,
We have before.
okay. Because some
It's
of
not a
those-
formal
yeah,
memo,
yeah,
it's just
okay.
usually a reply
Mhm.
email. Like when they're gonna spray pesticides and stuff.
Yeah,
But I think this is, like you were saying, I
it's
think
a
this would.
notification that they have to do. to
Right,
the
Yeah.
because
municipal-
it was submitted
initial-
to DEP.
Mhm,
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're getting it too.
Is this neighbors notification, boundary?
No, whenever they submit something to DEP, then we also get it too. So,
I'm not gonna wanna,
yeah, they're
Share what
only
it's
doing
for,
streams
but
reports.
I'm gonna wanna know what it's for.
Yeah, we're gonna wanna know what it's for and
It is, yeah.
ask for
vacant.
environmental impact statement. Let's also, this is just the same copy of what we just
I
said.
don't have it this.
Which watershed is it in Township State?
I'm gonna check exactly where that block and lot is too, because
Yeah,
I know the boundary in the Highlands Act,
Hmm.
oh, it's right near there?
the dividing line between.
Yeah.
the more
Island
stringent-
protection.
Yeah, more stringent versus not. It goes through houses.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
we
you
should
gotta see
definitely do
exactly
that.
where it is.
And then here it's
The
saying,
planning zone versus reservation area.
okay,
Through there.
this is saying what they think is the percentage of area that is wetlands, it's 12.9.
I think right now, this is just to identify the flood hazard area.
Yep.
And then if they actually are gonna build something, we're gonna get another.
Yep,
Shot at.
yep. So I think we're gonna run our own environmental report.
Okay.
And we're gonna double check, 3 things actually. Double check where the planning area is versus the reservation area. And what was the third thing? Oh, ask for environmental impact statement if they move forward with building.
Are these extra copies for the public to take?
No, you can't take it. There are copies to look at here. We don't take them either.
And I looked at the, general permit-based certification, but it says the same thing.
Yeah,
That it's just repair or modification of
of the sewer
well
system.
functioning septic.
They're just getting a septic, huh? In Lake Mohawk?
Yeah.
Is it on the lake or no?
No. By the golf course, like that
Over by the
area,
golf
like
course? Okay.
past the golf course.
Do you guys have any comments on this one?
No. Minor
Yeah,
thing, just to refer.
okay.
Why-
Yeah.
Septic.
Yeah, it's just septic. I don't know why we got a copy. All right.
That one, no comment?
No, nothing to say on that one.
Right, they
If you
probably
look at stuff,
go-
you just make a recommendation to a different body, who do you? who
So
would
it
you-
depends on that's actually goes to the planning board, because they sent us that application. So then we'll send a memo back to the planning board, and that's a memo. Huh?
You just write up like it doesn't seem like a problem to us.
Usually Emily handles it for us. She's our secretary, so yeah, she's very kindly taken that on from what I used to do.
Which will eventually become public during the
Yeah, they
planning
become
board
public.
meeting.
And then, these are letters, like they're not formal, like no committee sent them to us or commission, so we would usually reply with a letter back. to them.
If we were, I was personally operating a septic system. Logically go through a procedure like this.
You know, we shouldn't be seeing septic systems typically. The town should really just be handling. Yeah, exactly. Some things on like, we have seen when people are repairing their bulkheads on like Mohawk or other lakes. Yeah, because it has impacts on the lake. And so those applications we do see.
Do you have to have any special qualifications to be on this committee? I mean, are you an engineer by any means?
I am not, my background is I'm a project manager at a Fortune 500 company, so I.
We had to, we had to, we had to submit an application, everyone gets reviewed, and then we're appointed officially.
Yeah.
That was actually a discussion at the last council meeting, is changing the application process for how people get on committees and boards.
And then do they send you for some formal training? So you know
Yes, then you get credit and, yeah, and Jack.
Very knowledgeable that this isn't your.
Yeah, so some of us are formally trained in the environment, but not all of us are. Some of us just like the environment and learned environmental stuff anyway. And then, once you join the board, there's, ANJAC is our governing body of the environmental commissions, and then they give you training. And they have training, like you could go on there as a normal person and take all the training.
Thank you for explaining.
Welcome. All right, I don't know how much showed up on the sound, but hopefully we were loud enough. All right, we're opening it up to public comment.
First time in an environmental commission. I actually sent an email. I believe that you responded to me. So it's Jen Rogoff, 1
Oh,
Milton
yes.
Court. Thank you very much. So I do have a couple questions, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how this commission fits in with the council and how the communication between the two organizations work. So the first thing I notice is there isn't a big timer in my face, but we also don't have a big.
We don't do timers. in
Okay,
here.
I appreciate your time. So for anyone who may not be aware, I had a lot of questions regarding the Council Resolution 9-9, which involved the conveyance of 28 acres of ecologically rich Sparta-owned land to the New Jersey Land Trust in exchange for what the Land Trust described as 5 acres of ecologically non-desirable land. And I didn't know if this was something that the council had consulted the commission on, since it is the conveyance of a significant amount of Sparta-owned property and ecologically rich Sparta-owned property. And it's part of what is marked as open space dedicated to the Township of Sparta. It is non-buildable wetlands. So that was my first question, was this commission consulted regarding this?
So starting in the beginning of 2024, I might have my years slightly off, maybe it was the end of 23, we started the process of completing an open space plan. That open space plan becomes part of the master plan. You're supposed to do the open space plan every 10 years or so, but what Sparta had been doing for a number of years is updating it, which basically meant just, no offense to anybody who was here, right? But
Kicking the can.
Okay.
they would run a
Status quo.
report of any open places and then just slap it on there. So we did a full overhaul of the open space plan, which took 9 to 12 months. We hired New Jersey, oh my gosh,
The Land
The
Conservancy.
New Jersey Land Conservancy, thank you. Through grant, Sparta didn't pay for it directly. We got a grant through either ANJAC or one of the organizations to help fund that work effort by the New Jersey Land Conservancy. Through that process, we had a number of opportunities for the public to have input. There was 2 public sessions held, and then there was even a third one in conjunction with the planning board and the town council. We did a survey online that went out via email more than once and also went out via that alert system, which I can't think of the name of the alert system. Huh?
Was it Rave?
Rave, but I think at the time it was called something else because isn't Rave new? And we got what New Jersey Land Conservancy said was a vast amount, like way more replies than many other towns have gotten. So we felt like we did get a lot of input from the general public. We also had meetings with all the various departments within the township. So we met with DWP, we met with Recreation, we met with other stakeholders in the communities like the school board and allowed them opportunities to have input into the process, right? And what the open space plan is focused on is the open spaces, the unbuilt spaces, right? Because the master plan is focused on what's in what zones and what can be built where and a whole bunch, all that kind of stuff. And we're focused on, in this plan, the open space plan, it's also open space and recreation plan. So it's focused on not necessarily indoor recreation, but outdoor recreation. So don't think, our recreation department, when you hear recreation, it's not a plan to tell Jean how to run her department.
Gotcha.
It's like recreation, like boating and skiing and hiking and all those kind of biking, those kind of things. So that's the recreation portion there. Through that, a lot of the input we got was trails. We want more trails. We want more bike trails. We want the trails that we have connected. And this is a long way of getting to
No,
your
no, I appreciate the
question, so I
explanation.
apologize. We want more trails. We want the trails connected to all the other trails in Sussex County. We want the trails to be better maintained. We especially would like a more walkable downtown. So that has been a focus of that open space plan. But believe it or not, even the previous ones had a large focus on a more walkable downtown, creating a more recognizable downtown area, more sidewalks, more places to bike, more places to hike. And so that idea of having a roadway in between, or a trail, not a road, sorry, not a road, a trail in between the high school and the middle school has been something that has been discussed, but not acted upon for a long time. So, long way of answering, yes, we were consulted. The Trails Committee usually has a member here. Right now, we just lost, a month ago, our Trails Committee appointee who also sat on the Environmental Commission. So we do need to get a new person who's also going to come and report on that. So yeah, we've definitely been tracking, along with that. I think the important thing is that just because they started talking about it and had a resolution to begin those discussions doesn't mean it was a done deal, right? It was just the beginning to start those discussions.
So I obviously was here for the council meeting and heard our mayor say that. However, I did reach out to the trail, to the council myself, to the New Jersey Land Trust, and spoke with their preserve manager, Jason Hafstead. And we went back through the meeting where Mr. Dykstra and Mayor Clark had originally approached them, which was back in March. So that was when the original proposal happened. And then they are actually on their end, as far as they're concerned, since they had the unanimous vote on October 3rd, they are only waiting for deed conveyance. That's it, deed transfer. That's where they are at the stage they are. So I don't know if I would say this is the beginning if they're just waiting for deed transfer. And the other piece is now there seems to be a change from what I'm hearing, and I don't know if this has come across to you guys yet at all, that now it's not from the middle school to the high school.
I haven't heard that.
So there's a section of land that is USDA governed that is in between the middle school and the high school, and that would dissect a private landowner's property. And under the guidance of I don't know what the conservancy, I have it actually written down, as part of the USDA governs what happens on that land. So it has to go through that landowner, and then the town of Sparta would actually have to lease use of that back from the land. There's like a lot of things in speaking. I've made a lot of phone calls in the week to different agencies to try and understand, because I really, I found out about this right prior to the council meeting, and only because there was some survey flags that ended up
Yeah.
on our property. I'm happy to hear that you guys were consulted. Was there any like formal, like, do you guys present anything to the council or anything, any type of
So-
documentation?
After the open space plan is completed, it got presented to a joint planning and town council meeting, and then it went for approval by the planning board. The town council does not approve that document.
That's the planning board.
Yeah. And so after that process, the Trails Committee began their process, and we hear regular reports from our usual Trails Committee person who we lost a month ago.
Yeah,
But
that was
we
one of my
wouldn't-
question was, is there a liaison? But
Yeah.
now you need a new one.
So
Yeah,
we're
now we need a new one.
we're kind of, I would say that we're kind of high level advisory, and I don't recall that we had kind of general feedback from the community saying we would like more open space usage, trails, outdoor, these are assets that we should be enjoying, right? But I don't know that we specified, this body didn't necessarily specify parcels and lots. We didn't go down to that detail. We just said, we think that this should be explored, and then we pass it off. And so that's where then a trail committee was formed, and the governing body then takes it and on advisement from the trail committee. But I want to say something, because I just saw that town council meeting a couple days ago, and a few people told me to watch it. And
Thank you
And,
for watching, and sorry.
yeah, no, there's a lot. So I wanted to, and my takeaway from that was, if it were me, and I have a background in marine and freshwater and land survey and geologic exploration, and so, but all that aside, and knowing that surveyors are typically allowed on private property unless there is posted signs, 6-foot physical barriers, just so you know, they are allowed. However, I personally, I think if I had been asked by you, or even before that, I think my response would have been a little bit different, where I would have kind of said, it doesn't sound like this was handled correctly, and let's kind of set this aside and discuss and figure out how to work through this kind of offline and not try to push something through. So I just want to say that, because I felt like that was maybe like the biggest frustration that I would have taken, and I've called cops to my property when I've had people on there. I'm like, what are they doing? And the cops have told me, unless you have no trespassing signs, you can't. And then even if you have no trespassing signs, unless you have a 6-foot fence, and even if you have a 6-foot fence, unless if you have an opening in that fence and you don't close that opening, you could still have people on your property. I'm like, well, that seems crazy. But in this case, I do think that the surveyors, and it sounded like there's also a boundary dispute or question.
Yeah.
So, all of this, like, it just seems like maybe calmer heads, you guys can talk offline and work through some of how this was maybe not handled the best. And then hopefully, and it sounded like some of the other members of town council were hearing your concerns, and it sounds like there was a request for just more information and just getting it right, right?
That was it.
Okay.
It was, I need
So-
information. So one of the things that I reached out, in speaking to the preserve manager, he is a wealth of knowledge. You guys would love him. And I actually asked if there was an opportunity for him to have some kind of open house, because as a steward for the trust, he was magnificent. Had he presented the information at the council meeting, it may have gone a very different way. But the information that was transmitted to the public was just inconsistent at best. It was this, we said this, but this we had, well, here's this email from before, and now you're saying this, and like, there was zero, I mean, from a homeowner who came home, and it seemed like zero transparency. And I love that you're saying there's so many pieces, that it was at this meeting and there was something published and all of this. I try and pay attention to things, but I had no idea. So now I'm going to pay a lot more attention to things. But if there's an opportunity to have the gentleman from the trust come to a meeting to present about what the trust does, the parcel of land in question that borders our property would actually unite the Sterling Hill Preserve and the Walk Hill Preserve. But he was very honest. They have landlocked property that they have, and that would be the only street access to those two preserves. So that property would unite them, and then also have street access. So then I was like, well, who would need street access? And he said, because of the ecologically rich nature of the property and the species that are there, he said he personally would probably like to geek out and check it out himself. But they are not a trails network. They are not encouraging trails. They are encouraging preserved land, which was very different than the message we got here. It was, we're giving away this large portion of property for a small amount of property to potentially build a trail at taxpayers' expense, because then the school board came out the next day and said, we are not on board with this. We haven't given permission to use our property in this way. So the whole thing of like, we're just starting the conversation, I think that the conversation was pretty far along for him to say this is the beginning. My opinion.
And I think I would just add, while Kim is correct that trails were identified and this was a potential site to look at, I personally, as a member of the Environmental Commission, would have liked to have had that presentation before it had, because I work for an organization that looks at the Walk Hill River. We specialize in restoration of different sites. I know there are sensitive species in that area. It is in a USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service
That's one.
easement in that area. So I think we do need to have due diligence to look to establish any trail through there.
And I appreciate that. That's really what I wanted, was more information.
Because we do get updates from the trail committee, but our updates are brief, and we were told that they're exploring it, but we didn't know that it was going to be this far along. I don't think. Personally, I didn't. So
I appreciate that.
that's something if we can get more information before anything moves forward, that would be great.
So Kim, can we just ask for that?
Ask for what?
Like ask for more information about this parcel, understand a little bit more about the proposal, and
Absolutely.
then I think then we could weigh in on it the same as we do this other stuff, and at least we're doing the due diligence, because it does sound like this was missed. So
I appreciate that.
Did we ever have a trust? I thought we did have a trust, New Jersey Land Trust, come and speak to us, one of our speakers.
Mm-mm.
Ridge and Valley came. Am I thinking of,
Right, but not. This is
not specific to
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Okay.
This is a New Jersey Natural Lands Trust.
And then there is some language about land entering and exiting the trust. that is kind of very general. So, I mean, the land that they are conveying to Sparta in exchange for these 28 acres was in the New Jersey Land Trust and is now being given to Sparta to build upon it. That's what Sparta asked for it. Like, we want this land so we can build this trail. So that's a concern. Also, we were under the impression that this dedicated to the open space of Sparta, and we were told when we bought the home that it was preserved land. No one could ever build on it. But during the council meeting, Mr. Dash made it very clear that developers have ways of getting around such things, and we could sell that lot and build on it behind your house. So, I would like more information about, is that truly preserved? What does the designation on my survey that says open space dedicated to the town of Sparta, what does that mean?
The open space plan has at the back of it, which is published online, has every single block and lot and what is preserved and what is not preserved.
Okay.
So if
I
you
wrote
don't
that
have
down,
that
so I will-
information already, you can find it in there.
Okay.
But that was a concern I didn't really want to bring, but since he did, that was a concern I had, again, kind of putting myself in your shoes. I was like, all right, so if I have this, if I understand this, the swap, which of course is more favorable to who is providing the land that we would want to use, that may not be a bad thing, because if it's going to be used in the same way. But again, that initial parcel that they're giving to us, what were the promises attached to that parcel? And yeah, going forward,
So there are
then-
deed restrictions on that parcel because
Yeah.
that land originally came from the DOT. So I don't know what is attached to it, but there are definitely deed restrictions, and I don't know how the plan that the council brought forward, I don't know how that applies or impacts those stipulations.
presumably they'd have to look at it. But I mean, yeah, that was my point. Is it's all well and good. I think the guidance was that the state's going to do a better job of protecting the land than the township, maybe not. And there was, I think, conversation about writing an agreement that would run with the land to kind of hamstring future development. But that was something that I was curious, is the land that we're being given, it's owned by the state entity who is supposed to be a very good steward, but now it's going to be a trail, and what if it had been promised to in perpetuity never be developed? And so then, therefore, of course, what's the guarantee for your parcel adjacent your property? So I would have those concerns.
And then the other concern is that, there's plenty of attention to the Sparta Mountains situation, which is under, the guidance or governance of another state agency. And I don't think anyone was anticipating that they would be cutting down trees, regardless of what species of bird may need them to do so. So I did check, and the New Jersey, the Land Trust said that they don't have any current forestry projects at the moment, but that doesn't mean that they didn't or don't or couldn't. So that would also be a concern.
Agree. We actually have a resolution that we've been trying to get moving forward to basically protest against what's currently happening on Sparta Mountain. The Stop the Chop group, they came and actually gave a presentation. I think it was May or June, if you want to go back and look at that recording. It was a really good meeting. They had two experts come and speak about both the warblers and how that's not really something that really needs to be saved at this point. And the tree expert was also really good also.
Well, I appreciate your time very much, and
Thanks for coming.
thank you for
And your comments.
listening. Thank you.
Yeah.
John lives across the street from the parcel in question.
Oh. Any other comments from the? No one else wants to say anything? Okay. All right. Reports. We don't have Margie to give a town council report. We don't have Neil to give a master plan subcommittee. I'll give a plug for the master plan subcommittee. Public meeting that is happening October 29th, 7 to 9 at I think it's the high school, at the Sparta High School. So if anybody from the public's interested in weighing in on the master plan and having your opinion heard, please come to that meeting, October 29th, 7 to 9, Sparta High School.
I'm on that now.
You're on that now?
Subcommittee.
Oh,
But yeah,
well.
you did a good job.
I'm gonna come and see you.
Huh.
Okay. All right, do you want to, did I
No, but
steal
don't
your
have anything
thunder?
to add. No.
Before you move
Okay.
on, I did think of one additional question. and
Okay.
I don't know if you can answer it or not. I did reach out because when I asked when these meetings were and when the trails meetings were, the town clerk was kind enough to send me back the information. I found this meeting on the calendar. Nobody actually disclosed this meeting. I found that on the calendar. But the trails meeting is on the 30th. There's a trails meeting. And that I was told that it's in a conference room that is very small and doesn't accommodate much room for the public.
It's not
And
that small.
so
It's right here.
That first one, as you come in town hall.
I don't
pretty
hang out in
big.
town hall, but I'll have to check it out.
Okay.
But I asked if there was any opportunity to live stream that meeting because it sounded like there will definitely be information that is relevant to this resolution 9-9. And I was told that no, so I asked again and just said in just asking for transparency, if there's any way that that meeting could be live streamed so that more residents, could at least hear the information being presented.
I don't know if that, I would just say they'd have to probably meet here, right?
Probably. I know they can live stream via Zoom in that room. It's equipped for Zoom. So
I don't
That's
think
all I
people
know.
would care what platform was used if they could listen, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that you could have any input on or not. So I would
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right. Oh, planning board. Any planning board report? No? Okay. All right. Some of the resolutions we've been working on, one of them is the stewardship of Sparta Mountain. I sent it to the town council members and I have not heard back yet. So we're still waiting on that one. On deer management, I have not done what I was supposed to do. So I did speak to some folks at Lake Mohawk Country Club about if we could get any information on deer strikes. But Blake, do you know Blake? Okay. So I'll follow up with them, huh?
With the Boardwalk Club? They're not serving venison.
No,
but
they're
yeah.
not serving venison. All right. Let me explain what that's about if you haven't been following. So Lake Mohawk has a number of deer herds. We think that's where the most problem is. That's where the town is getting the most complaints about the deer herds eating a lot of and all of the vegetation. And deer are particularly disastrous for native plants because they primarily eat the native plants and they leave the invasives. And so the native plants can hardly get a foothold. And so we are trying to have potentially, this is one of the thoughts, is working with the state DEP Fish and Wildlife Organization to help us with the deer population and decreasing the deer population. We had a presentation by the Fish and Wildlife Organization, particularly about deer management, and of course that was sometime in the spring too. I can't remember the exact day. And they typically recommend 3 or 4 different ways to manage your deer population. There's birth control, which is extremely expensive and not very effective. There is hunting your deer, which does require some planning, of course, and it's hunting with bows and arrows, I think is what they typically recommend. I can't remember the third thing that they said. It's not poisoning or anything like that. Moving them. Yeah, which doesn't work because then they just come right back.
People don't want
So,
Hunting on their property.
the one by you, I have no idea. I know the one by me is definitely hunted. And I don't have a deer problem by my house, so the secret is the hunting, I think. But anyway, so we're trying to get some more evidence as to where the biggest deer problems are in town, rather than just anecdotal complaints from people living in the town.
Didn't we
So-
talk about also asking the police?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
that report. So we got the deer strike report,
Yeah.
where and how many car accidents have been caused by deer. We have that, and then we have to contact Space because they pick up the dead deers,
Yep.
Space Farms. So yeah, we're trying to put together the plan, and then DEP would come in and help us with that, with that information, help us put together a plan to kind of help with the deer population. Sparta entirely, but we do get the most complaints from Lake Mohawk. So. But we would look at the whole town. That's why we're trying to get additional information about where the deer strikes are happening, where the carcasses are being collected from, that kind of stuff. Okay, Rivers Conference, Christine.
So I wanted this added to the agenda. This was an event that I went to last Friday. It was hosted at Centenary University, and there were a number of great workshops. But I wanted to bring this back on the agenda this week because there were some updates from the workshops that I attended that I think are relevant to our board and to Sparta as a whole. So the first one that I went to was the State Wildlife Action Plan workshop, and as part of that presentation, they highlighted what's called CHANGE, which is spelled CHANJ, which stands for Connecting Habitat Across New Jersey. They have a website called change.nj.gov, and this tool is very useful because it helps us identify what actions are needed to make the landscape and roadways passable to our terrestrial wildlife. And they were showing different mapping tools that we can look at to highlight which roadways are particularly problematic. And then you can work with the state to address them. But they also said that their staff at New Jersey Fish and Wildlife can advise townships. So there might be a way to have someone on their staff advise our commission, look at if there's any parcels that we should be particularly concerned about, if there's any roadways that we should be addressing, because they can work with the townships and the state and try to get funding available to create passageways under bridges, under roads. So I think we should check that out as a commission and just see what Sparta is looking like on this tool.
So it's for like frogs, turtles.
Yep, but it's also, they were showing, because a lot of the, even bridges that go over rivers, a lot of times the water goes right to the edge of
Yeah.
the bridge. So they were talking about as there's redesigns or roads are
Oh, interesting.
changed, that we can now look at wildlife concerns
Yep.
and create little passageways for terrestrial wildlife to be able to cross safely. So I think that is relevant to our board and we should take a look at it. And then for the public, they talked about another tool that would be very helpful to the state. It's called New Jersey Wildlife Tracker, and that's for reporting different wildlife sightings. So it could be things like if you had a bobcat run across the road, you can report it to the state so that they know where these endangered wildlife are being observed, so that helps with planning decisions and prioritization of where they would address some of these concerns with roadways. And then the other workshop that I wanted to highlight was about the state development and redevelopment plan. So right now, there's a final draft of the state plan that's viewable to the public. They are encouraging submission of public comments. And then this is really a document that our master plan subcommittee should begin to review as they start to work on developing our revision for the master plan, because they were saying that alignment between Sparta's plan and the state plan opens up huge opportunities for grant funding to be available, because then our plan is aligned with statewide goals. So that's something we should look at, I think. Other than that, that's all I had from that event.
You have the links for those?
Yeah, I can give them to, you want me to give them to Emily?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks for attending. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sorry, will that information be included in the minutes of this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can include the links in the minutes.
Yep, you can also go on to the Rivers Conference. You'll be able to see them there.
For that last one, the state, that was something that came up, I think, before in planning.
Okay.
Where there was a couple different pathways that we could kind of get guidance, I think.
Okay.
And we'll have to revisit.
I think they're trying to finalize it by December, so it's in the next couple of weeks. Try to get your comments in.
There was like an opt-in or an opt-out, and there's a couple different ways that you
Okay,
could.
well, they have
do
like a
it.
final draft right now, so then you can review what the final draft says and then see if you have any other comments. But even if we don't have comments, I think just seeing where there can be alignment with our plan can only help, because we'll have opportunities for grant funding.
On the turtle crossing, reptile
Yep.
crossing one, there was somebody who contacted us about, they were seeing a lot of turtle strikes.
Mhm.
I'll have to go back in the emails and see where it was, in particular this past spring. So like that would be a good place to kind of start, I think, too.
Yeah, so maybe they could be one of our future speakers if they would be
Yeah,
willing to
that'd be
talk to
great.
us. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to new business. I think, Christine, you put this on the agenda, Earth Day 2026?
I think, I think Neil had brought it up first, but
Neil did, sorry about that.
yeah, because I think the Lake Mohawk Preservation Foundation was discussing that they wanted to do an Earth Day cleanup that they've been doing year after year, and to see if there could be any alignment with our board and our Earth Day event. So I guess I was thinking, because we are the environmental commission for the entire town and not Lake Mohawk specifically, maybe we can have the Lake Mohawk event in the morning like they always have it. And then like, I looked for what time it started this year. It was at 9 o'clock. So maybe if we went back to hosting our event at like 11 or 12 and we made it an afternoon event, people can go to the cleanup and then drive 1 mile down the road and come, and we can have stations set up again. Personally, I'd like to have it here like we did 2 years ago,
Yeah.
because the attendance was better. And I like the idea of having it where we host our meetings so that we could start making that connection with the public. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, if we could do something like that.
So that Lake Mohawk, it's LMPF, the Preservation Foundation. That's actually a separate group. It started as kind of a way to look out for the environment local to Lake Mohawk, but it's beyond. It's not limited to the Lake Mohawk waterways. So we should actually at least have a conversation with them, I think, because they provide grants as well to entities outside of Lake Mohawk. If there's anything that would benefit the watersheds associated with Sparta, I think they're up for it. I don't know if they do anything beyond Sparta, but I know that they definitely have given money and resources and supported well beyond Lake Mohawk. So, but yeah, I think that's good. I just want to clarify that because they come to Lake Mohawk typically in the parking lot and they set up in the morning and there's a cleanup and then there's kind of, all right, let's see what came through. And so that could work well, is that then when people come back, like, hey, you want to double down and go to town hall?
Come on down.
So
Right.
they might
Can't
support
we do it
that.
in the parking lot there?
I'm
At
thinking.
which parking lot?
Where you said they set up in the
Well,
parking lot?
but yeah, I'm sure, I think you may be able to have that conversation, but it sounded like, Christine, you wanted to do it here.
I'd rather do it here.
Yeah. So
So it's right down the road. So
Right.
I don't think,
you could start there,
I think
like
they
you said.
could complement each other,
Yeah.
not compete, if we like arrange the
I'm just
times.
saying there could be like a good collaboration there.
Yeah.
So don't discount it.
Question, if I may, directed to Christine. You know, I'm a volunteer for the road salt monitoring program, and that looks at the impacts of road salt during treatment for winter storms and things like that. And I'm just a new beginner to that, but does your commission participate peripherally or in depth in any way for that, inputs to that program?
Well,
Yeah, and that's our next
that's
agenda
our next
item.
agenda item.
Just for you.
Right on.
But to answer your question, we've been participating in the road salt program at least 3 years. I think we're on our, this winter will be our 4th winter, I think. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. It was at
3 or
least
4
3.
years.
This will at least be the 3rd.
This will at least be the 3rd at the very least, but I feel like it might even be the 4th. So yes, we absolutely participate.
I'll listen.
All right. So you have an update on our
Yeah, the road salt.
road salt snapshot. that we-
Okay, so we did a road salt snapshot earlier this month, and we collected 23 different samples at sites in Sparta. Our environmental commission was part of it. We also worked alongside volunteers from the community. The Food Shed Alliance and the Paulinskill Watershed Community was involved. The Wallkill River Watershed Management Group was involved. So it was a good collaboration between a lot of different entities, but it was, I think, 66 sites were collected among all of those different entities, but 23 were specifically in Sparta. And this fall sampling is really intended to assess if our streams have been negatively impacted by road salt application. And we're looking specifically in this fall period because we're trying to see how much our streams have been affected months after the last road salt was actually applied in the winter. So what we're trying to assess is how much salt is accumulating in the groundwater, in the soil, and we do our assessments at what's called base flow conditions. So that's like the resting state of our streams. So if anyone was involved, like John, you were just saying you helped us, we had to postpone this event like 4 separate times because we were having rain. And every time you get rain, then you have an influence from the stormwater runoff. So you don't want to have that. So we had to wait 48 hours after every storm. So it got rescheduled, but we did collect a bunch of samples. And this is part of a larger study that's being conducted by what's called Stroud Water Research Center. So that's a multi-state effort where they're getting all of our neighboring states, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and I think Maryland are all involved in collecting samples. They have over 1,000 different points that have been collected. So they're going to be hosting, Stroud Water Research Center is hosting a webinar on November 19th from 6 to 7:30. And they're going to summarize a bunch of the findings from this larger study. But what I can say from what we collected, natural levels of chloride in our streams in northeastern U.S. are typically around 5 to 20 milligrams per liter. That's natural levels of what you would expect. Only one of our 23 samples was in that range. Now, this is not a unique circumstance for just Sparta. This is common, that we have road departments are applying lots of salt everywhere in the Northeast where it snows. So we do have streams that have been impacted. And I would say our other samples were above that range. And once you get to the level of 50 milligrams per liter of chloride, you start seeing impacts to amphibians, to macroinvertebrates. So there are concerns when salt levels get too high. And I think we need to keep collecting data because this is a great baseline sample, but we need to compare it to winter levels. So this is going to be critical this winter, is to have the public involved as much as possible. We're going to be continuing this effort again, and we want to have a robust data set, because I guess having enough data is going to make our recommendations that much stronger moving forward. And we can really work with the township and see if there are any management decisions that can be made to help better protect our waterways. So right now we're in the data collection phase. There are some initial concerns, but it's not isolated to Sparta. This is a common thing that we're seeing in streams throughout the Northeast where they apply a lot of road salt. So we would love to have the public involved. So please help us this winter, and then we'll collect a lot of data, and we'll also see what Stroud's presentation is saying as well, because 1,000 data points is great. We'll really start seeing trends in the data, and then we can assess what can be done here locally.
A lot of road construction where it appears gas lines are being extended under the road beds for future connection. Same applies to maybe to town waterworks. I'm wondering if you, the commissioner, ever consulted possible impacts with that. I don't know what they would be, but there's obviously a lot of sediment created and a lot of earth movement, excavation activities and whatnot. And what's of greater curiosity to me is would be in knowing, is there an actual plan that you might be aware of for Sparta to extend gas lines to individual neighborhoods? Same applies to a main water system available in one part of the township and wells in another part of the township. So do you see anything in the near horizon? Particularly interested because I think I have to replace my oil burner. And if gas were within a year or two, I might be able to limp it along.
Yeah, I do know, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Share what you know.
So I actually do the road open permits in the zoning department. So we get a lot of permits and applications from Elizabethtown Gas specifically. So what happens is I get the application in, it usually comes with a plan, and then it's sent to our town engineer, which is Corey Stoner, and his office approves it or denies it based on the plan. So I know they're doing a big project right now on Glen Road. It's separated into 3 phases. So right now, I think they're still only in phase 2. But I think they're supposed to start phase 3 the beginning of January.
You happen to know if those plans dictate or set a timetable for extension into individual neighborhoods? Those look like mainline construction.
There's no time frame, but it does show on the plans specific neighborhoods that they're going to go to. Yeah.
Schedule, a date schedule kind of thing?
I think they usually do that with the homeowner, like or it kind of depends. On the applications, we don't have a time frame. We just either approve it or deny it. So I don't know if that's.
Now at this point, is there a must connect provision in there that you could say, I do want it or I don't want it to be connected to the gas line?
So I think if Elizabethtown Gas has enough interest, they will go down the street. Even if the gas line is there, you do not have to connect if you don't want to. Yeah, there is an option. Yeah. You're welcome.
And I did talk to somebody at Elizabethtown Gas. I'll try to find her contact information. I think I have her card somewhere.
Several years ago, I went through with Elizabethtown because I knew that we were repaving our road after they came through. I wasn't ready to connect to them at the time because I was going to be doing some of my own work. So I was able to pay a fee and get a stub put on my property. So that I would recommend that you reach out to Elizabethtown and get the conversation going if you're interested, and kind of say like what would, and just keep at them. Say
Where are you in, if I could ask?
what
Are you on?
North Shore Trail. You might know a house that's been under construction. Come on.
All right. Did we have any other new business or any more questions? All right.
Does the same hold true with Planet Networks? If they request our
Oh, I would just call them too.
Yeah.
And tell me
I
That-
when.
know
that-
Brightspeed is coming through right now, so definitely get
But you
on
don't want
Planet Networks
Brightspeed.
if you want 'em.
neighborhoods underground, and they won't come out there unless a significant portion of the community in that neighborhood requests it.
My understanding with that is that, well, the polls, they have to, there's significant expense that Planet Networks has to take upon itself to extend service to neighborhoods. And I've been looking at them for years. And and so it is true that especially with the underground ones, I mean, that's the subsurface geology is really challenging. And so if you look at it from the standpoint of if they can get interest from your local area, if they can get X number of people that are interested, then they can kind of do the math and say, all right, if we build this out here, we know that X number of people are going to sign up, and then it'll justify over 1, 3, 5, 10 years, they're going to eventually get their money back. But they're putting up a lot of money, and I know they're stretched, pretty thin because they're trying to build out everywhere. So I waited for years and I was one of those people pestering and then like talking to my neighbors and getting people like you got to sign up, and you got to fill in that form. You got to tell your neighbors to fill in that form. And then when they have the magic number, but you can ask them, you could, call them, or you could send them an email and see, because they might, a lot of times they'll share like their plan, like, oh yeah, we're doing that in 6 months, we're doing that in a year. So, but that's separate because
I've been pretty pestering to them.
I mean, everyone is, yeah.
Next door neighbor to start walking the community.
Yeah.
I mean, they've conveyed the lines all the way to the top of, West Mountain Road, but they haven't gone into Scudder's.
Yeah.
We don't get too involved in those
Yeah.
things.
Stinking little cable.
Well, no, but what, yeah, I mean, it came up because I knew we were repaving our roads. So at the time, when you had Elizabethtown, I think this, there was a potential, hey, if you're digging a trench through this really tricky subsurface, how about instead of just running your gas main, you could also run some utilities through there, and then you'd future-proof, right? But for reasons that are probably fairly obvious, Elizabethtown didn't want that, because if something happened to their main, how do you attribute who's responsible for what cost? But as that would have been great, I think. But also our,
All right. Anything else for the good of Sparta residents or the environment that we should talk about? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
In a second?
I'll second.
Ted, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. I have that Elizabethtown gas business card.